Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books, some of the books, that I added to my Goodreads TBR in the month of June. Alright, so as I do every month, I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books that I add to my Goodreads Want to Read list, as well as where I heard about the book from. So these are not books that I'm purchasing for my shelves. That is a separate video, but these are just books that have struck my fancy, that were brought to my attention, and where I'm hearing about them from. So for the month of June, I was inundated, as I'm sure everybody else was, by book recommendations, specifically book recommendations by Black authors, which I loved, and I added a lot to my Goodreads Want to Read list. And then I went back through to make this list, and I don't remember what any of the books were about. So I kind of went through a purge, and I went through and I really read through the synopsises, whatever that word is, and really kept the ones that sounded like they were really going to resonate with me on my list. So a lot of these are fiction. I don't actually think I have any nonfiction. I do have some nonfiction in mind that I do want to read. A lot of those were already on my TBR though. Whatever. None of this is important. Getting to the list though, I am limiting this list to 8 books. So I did not include any books that were parts of series that I added to my TBR that were just like random things. And yeah, so I was able to like narrow it down. I have 8 books to talk about, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them are by Black authors. There are a couple that are not though. So I will be sharing a little synopsis of each of them, as well as where I heard about the book from. So the first book that I want to talk about is The Benefits of Being an Octopus. This is by Anne Braden, and I heard about this. ARG Schooling is a channel that Angie, the Mama Science, oh my goodness, I'm having a total mind fart right now and cannot remember her channel name. I'll link both of their channels down below though. But ARG Schooling is a channel that was brought to my attention through Angie. And so I was checking out some of her videos, and in her video, her June TBR video, I got a couple of books from her video, and this was one of them. So Benefits of Being an Octopus is about a 7th grader, Zoe, who basically has to take care of all of her younger siblings, like much younger siblings. Her mom's constantly working, and so she's just kind of having to take on more responsibility. She's trying to fly under the radar at school, and then her teacher kind of strongly encourages her to join the debate team, and through joining the debate team, she starts learning more about what's going on in her life and how to address it and all that. So that sounded like it would be right up my alley. I think it's a middle grade. So that was one. The other one that I added from ARG Schooling's channel, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me. It's kind of a Space Casey day for me today. I try to make notes and I try to do my due diligence, but sometimes details escape me. So, but the other one that I added from from this video, her June TBR video, I can do words, I can, is Sugar by Jewel Parker Rhodes. And this is a book that is like post-Civil War, post-slavery, but still on a plantation in the South. And so it follows a Black girl and just kind of her experience living on the plantation post-slavery and what that looked like. There's a little bit to do with them bringing in Chinese people to do some of the field work, as some of the Black people were leaving, and I don't know if they were leaving or if they were just replacing them. I don't know. That's why I want to read this book, because this was something that was kind of new to me. I love that it is kind of tackling that time in history, because you don't really see a whole lot about that. So yeah, that is one. I think it's another middle grade that I added to my list. All right, the next one. Finding Langston and Leaving Limon, both by Lisa Klein Ransom. I heard about these books from the Instagram account BookBeat. Her name's Kathleen, and she is where I heard about Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth from. So I love her Instagram account. I follow it. Her middle grade books, especially, I really take those recommendations to heart because Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth is one of my all-time favorites. And so she was recommending Finding Langston and Leaving Limon. And these both books have to do with the Great Migration that took place after World War II, where a bunch of Black people migrated from the South up north. And so in Finding Langston, we follow a boy, Langston, who moves from Alabama to Chicago and with his dad, and they're living in an apartment, and he ends up at the library and comes across the poetry of Langston Hughes, and that kind of has influence on him and finding out about life. And so that one sounded really good. And then also Leaving Limon is a companion. And in this companion, we follow the bully from Finding Langston, Limon. And same thing where in this one, his father is in the Parchman Farm prison in Mississippi, which I read about in Sing Unmarried Sing. And so I thought that was interesting. And so he's living with his grandparents, but eventually gets moved north. And so kind of same setup a little bit there, but I'm very interested in reading both of those. Kathleen said if you're a fan of Christopher Paul Curtis that these would be good picks, and I read Bud Not Buddy by Christopher Paul Curtis earlier this year and really enjoyed it, so I figured these would be good safe picks. All right, next we have Saving Ruby King by Catherine Adele West. This is one, the Instagram account Booksta and Bujo, what's her name? Allison. Allison is her name. She did a thing on I'm going to get this all wrong. There was a specific couple of days, 3 days, 1 week this past month where there was a big push for everybody to buy 2 books by Black authors to kind of bump them up on the New York Times best-selling list. And so she did a question and answer box where, to leave which books you were going to be buying that day. And so these next 2 books were books I got from that question box. She shared all the results or all the answers. And these were 2 books that I had not heard of yet that struck my fancy. The first is called Saving Ruby King by Catherine Adele West. Excuse me. And this one is set in Chicago, and it has to do with this girl whose mother was murdered, and the police kind of brush it aside and don't really look into it. And her mother being murdered means that she has to live with her violent father. And the only person that really understands the implications of that is her best friend, but her best friend's dad is telling her to stay away from Ruby. And so it's just kind of all about that. And that sounded interesting to me. And then the next one that I added from that kind of highlight series, whatever, that she did was The Secret Women by Sheila Williams. And this is one that is about these 3 women who they're all in yoga together, and they find out that all of their mothers have recently passed away. And so they kind of form this bond, and they make this pact that they're going to help each other go through all of their mother's things. And so through that, they find out secrets about their moms. They grow this bond together, and it just sounded super awesome. So I want to read that one. All right, the next one I want to talk about is Twins, and this is by Varian Johnson and Shannon Wright. This is a graphic novel, a middle grade graphic novel that I heard about from Kobe Sharp. I found out about it on his Instagram account. He hasn't really been posting a whole lot on YouTube lately, but he has been posting on Instagram. And so I found out about this one on his Instagram account. And this is a graphic novel that is about twins in middle school and just about them kind of growing apart and finding out about their individuality. I think there might be a little bit of a rivalry between the 2 of them at one point, but it just sounded fun. So I added that one. Another one I added is The Space We're In by Katya Balin. And I heard about this from Olivia's Catastrophe, her channel. She did a video, which was so much fun. I love the video idea, where she went through some of her favorite things and gave book recommendations based off of her favorite things. So her favorite flower was a rose, so she gave a book recommendation based off of that, and her favorite musical instrument, or whatever. So I loved that video, first of all. But second of all, this book sounded really good, and this was one I got off of that video. And this is about what is the kid's name? 10-year-old Frank and his little brother Max, and his little brother is autistic. And Frank really struggles with finding that connection between him and his little brother. He's kind of mad that he didn't get the little brother that he was expecting, and it's just kind of about that journey between the two of them, and that sounded fantastic. It got rave reviews from Olivia, so I added that one. And then the last one, the last one on this list is The Skylark's War by Hilary McKay, and I heard about this from another Instagram account, Aaron.Smith. And this is a World War I historical fiction that takes place in England. And so it's about these 3 kids and just their summer during World War I. And yeah, I think it's middle grade. But I am always down for reading more World War I historical fiction. I'm finding that that's very interesting to me because we have so much World War II historical fiction and nobody really ever talks that much about World War I, and it's fascinating. So those are all of the books that I added to my Goodreads TBR during the month of June. If you have read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about them down below in the comments. And yeah, go check out some of these Instagram accounts and YouTube channels, definitely, because they obviously give great book recommendations. So yeah, other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!